Okay, welcome to the Blues Box. I'll tell you what, I'll start again, shall I?
Brilliant start, Steve. Well, that's,
Do you want to do the intro?
if that's how we're going to go on.
Okay, welcome to the next episode of the Blues Box. Again, today we're looking at British blues, but an absolute British blues legend in Matt Schofield. I think not only one of the finest British blues guitarists I've ever heard, but one of the finest in the world. I think absolutely phenomenal. So
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, he is. What do you want me to say, Steve?
I want you to subscribe.
Oh, okay. So welcome back to the Blues Box, as Steve said. Please subscribe if you enjoy what we do. That really makes a difference to us. That would make a massive difference. Many's the evening I look there and put my hands in my head and look at the subscriber numbers and think, why aren't they going up? What am I doing wrong?
It's all about you, Jeff.
And then I blame Steve.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, if you could just subscribe or like or give us a comment as well and get involved, that would be brilliant. But yeah, Matt Schofield, who, to be honest, you introduced me to really. I was a bit in the dark on that front.
Yeah, wonderful guitar, wonderful songwriter, singer as well. The thing we're going to try and focus on is just expanding what we do within the blues a little bit from just the three chords. If you listen to any Matt Schofield interviews, you'll hear him use the expression sophisticated blues.
Okay.
Which basically just means we're adding some extra touches to
More
it.
complicated.
Basically, yeah,
More
try to avoid the
complicated
word
blues.
complicated with you, Jeff, because it'll freak you out.
I'm not a complicated guy, Steve, you know that.
Not talking about tech now, Jeff. So yeah, we're going to kind of look at like the intro track we did on My Way, just at the chord progression in there, how we can apply or how people can apply that to take their standard three chord blues a little bit further.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So Jeff,
Sort of know what's coming.
yeah, you do, don't you? We did an episode of Blues Basics when we talked about chords within the key, which I'm sure is fresh in your mind.
Oh, I've gone over it many times. I've watched it so many times.
So, I don't know if you can remember which chord. This is going down a very dark rabbit hole, isn't it?
It really is.
I tell you what, rather than me just ask you,
show me.
Shall I show you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a visual learner, Steve.
Yeah, okay, use that one. You go with that one. Right, so we kind of know, and I'm sure anybody watching this knows the three chords in a blues. Now, that piece is in B flat, which is not the simplest of keys. Should we do it in B flat anyway, or should we move it to A?
I don't care what you do, Steve.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Not that I don't care, I don't mind.
You don't mind?
That's actually a better way of putting it, isn't it? I don't care, it's a bit rude, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't care, Steve.
Right,
Just get on with it.
In B flat, we would know our one chord is B flat, our four chord
Yep,
is
that one.
E flat, and then our five chord would be F.
Don't try and draw me into this.
So trying to involve you. So we're gonna kind of get you to think about a thing called a 2-5-1, a device called a 2-5-1.
Okay.
So largely what Matt Schofield, similar in a way to Josh Smith, who we covered, they use devices, if you like, that are turnarounds.
Yep,
So there's one where they will use diminished scales or arpeggios. We're not going to go there today for your sake, but we are going to look at 2-5-1, which is actually not super complicated.
Okay.
So
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So we talked before within your key, where your chords, if you just went through the key, we would have a major chord, followed by a minor chord would be the two chord, the the 3 chord is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major. We're using those in our standard blues. 6 is minor, and our 7th would be a diminished chord.
Okay.
So the 2 chord was a minor chord, and the 5 chord was a major chord, or in blues, we always make it a dominant chord. So like a B flat 7, F7, something like that, which you'll all be familiar with. So the idea of a 2-5-1 is that you use it to approach another chord. So
okay, like you're stepping up towards that next chord.
Yeah. So we're not thinking about the chord we're currently on. So if we think of the first 4 bars of a standard blues, or the example we had at the intro, we would have had 4 bars of a B flat chord. The change is to an E flat. So we need to think about what the 2 and the 5 chord are to the chord we're going to.
So they're the 2 and the 5
Yep.
of the chord you're going to.
Yeah.
Not in the initial key, not in the key you're in,
No.
but the chord you're going to hit.
That's it. So in this case, it's an E flat chord.
Okay.
Now, even if you're...
I mean, you could sit down and just, you could
map that out.
Yeah.
But if you want to just think of it as a positional thing, if you're not thinking about the notes, if you pick a chord like that E flat, the 2 chord, which is minor, will be next to it, or 2 frets away from it. So that's your 2 chord.
Yeah.
And the 1 chord, here's the quirky thing, will actually be the chord we started on.
Yeah,
which
of
is
course,
the B flat chord. Yeah. So if we play those 4 bars, instead of just 4 bars on this chord, this 4th bar, and that takes us to our E flat chord.
Okay.
So it's a tool to approach other chords.
That is an
like
interesting
this.
one,
Yeah.
and that's part of what makes this sound, like you said, sophisticated blues.
Yeah. So there's obviously the origins of this will be jazz stuff. It's a
Yeah,
very
clearly. I
common-
mean, that's clear, isn't it?
It's a really
hear that.
common chord progression in jazz, a 2-5-1. If we look at it within the context of this song, where he's using it, we have this change. Once we've gone 1 chord, 4 chord, we've gone back to our 1 chord. Now our next change would normally be to go to the 5 chord.
Yep.
Yeah. What's happening in this is he cuts the 2 bars of this chord short,
Yep.
and he goes to a 6 chord.
Okay.
And we're not going to overly analyse that today. We're just going to we're going to accept that we can do it. But it's worth thinking about it and adding it to your blues. It's a
I think
really nice
when you
flavour.
go back and listen to that track,
Yeah.
whilst thinking about that, because it's quite a lot to take on.
There is.
And listen to it, you can start to see that. Now, we were chatting earlier, and it's something I hear,
Yep.
but I don't always understand why.
Yeah.
And the theory gives me the why.
Yes. Spot on.
I'm not there yet, but
I'm trying, but yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's going to be a long, thankless task, Steve. You kind of know, you feel it anyway.
Yeah.
But the point of knowing it is you can get there without experimentation. You know where you're going to go. You know what you're going to do.
It's easier to repeat yourself.
Yeah, that's the consistency.
You don't get to sound like Matt Schofield by accident.
No, that's very true.
So obviously, if you can add these things to your playing, I would say first of all, the reason we're talking chords rather than solos, I personally felt when I was learning this stuff, if I could understand the chord progression, I then knew what I had to do with my solo.
I think that's absolutely spot on. I think it's wrong way around to do it.
Yeah, because you will inevitably, you'll touch on these things without realising that you are.
Yeah.
But obviously, like you said, if you've got that knowledge, you can consistently do
right.
it. Cool. So we've got this, rather than 2 bars on our 1 chord, which we've changed back, we've changed to the 6 chord, and then we get to our 2-5-1. He then uses a C minor chord, which is the 2 chord in our key, goes up to the 5 chord, which is F, and then ends up back on his 1 chord. So the whole time you feel like you're being led somewhere, and that's the difference, I guess, for this than a standard blues, which we all love.
No, but it gives a different flavour, doesn't it? Absolutely.
So you've then got that lovely little turnaround at the end. Now, I'm sure most of you understand what a turnaround is, but basically it's just leading you to another chord. So at the end, we've got this 1, 6, 2, 5, turnaround.
Yeah, I love that bit.
Yeah, which is brilliant, really nice. And obviously, as you get used to that and you're playing, add it to all your different keys, and then at some point we'll touch on how you can start to do that in your solo.
Okay.
One nice little point I'd say about chords, because people can get put off, I think, by, as soon as you mention the word any kind of jazz influence, they think they're going to be doing gymnastics with their left hand with some really tricky chords. Now, the great thing if you listen to Matt Schofield, it's a trio most of the time, is there's no bass player.
Yeah, you were mentioning this, no bass player, but there's an organist. He fills in a lot of that frequency range,
Yeah, he
doesn't he?
does.
That low end.
So he's doing the bass with his left hand, which is pretty impressive to
Yeah,
watch.
no,
Plus all these lovely runs with his right hand. So if you watch Matt Schofield, a lot of the time, although he's more than capable of playing a B flat 13 chord like that, you'll see him playing
Just
a small shape.
Portion of it.
Yeah, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. Is there a name for that when you use part of a chord like that rather than a full chord?
We can use chord fragments. I'm not sure if that's the right expression in this case. I don't know.
It's still the same chord.
Yeah, it is the same
It
chord.
is the same chord.
I mean,
It's just leaving out that.
some lovely chord shapes. Like if I'm playing a B flat 9 chord, there's not actually a B flat in the shape because you know that the bass player is going to be doing.
Going to fill that in.
Yeah. So if you watch, it's a real eye opener. If you get a chance, go to the video of On My Way, and there's a section in the middle where basically the organ player is just he's taking a turn, if you like.
If we can dig that link up, I might just pop it in the link.
Fantastic. And Matt Schofield is just comping over the top, so he's just kind of sitting in the background.
Yeah, I'll put that link in the
Got
description.
this lovely little. These tiny little movements, and he ends up with the same chord.
Yeah, it's parts of what I was doing earlier, isn't it, rather than full.
Which is, it's not, as long as you can get the timing, it's not super
It's
hard
something
to play.
that we were talking about, really, because I know we'll come on to it a bit later, that there's a good episode of The Pedal Show where Matt Schofield's on it.
Yeah.
One of the things that really comes out is how bright he likes his guitar, how much treble.
Yeah.
I was chatting to Steve, and part of when you mix a track is everything sits within its own little frequency range, whether it's the vocal, keyboards and synths, and bass drums, toms, and cymbals. They all sit in their own frequencies, and if you're all trying to dominate the same frequency range, if you have too much bass in your guitar, which is lovely when you're sat at home, you want a bit of bass, make it richer. I know when we go and look at an amp in a shop, you're like, oh, look at the bass, it's lovely, isn't it? But actually, you don't need it, because in the band, you've got either, in this case, the organist, the bass player, the bass drum, even floor toms and things like that, sitting in those frequencies. So actually, it helps you stand out more.
And you get lost
by thinning out the sound.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually worth watching that.
That was a great episode.
Brilliant episode.
You can look it up. Again, I'll try and remember to put the link in the description. Pedal Show, Matt Schofield. I think it was Tone. Was it Pedalboard and Tone or something like that it was called? I'll look it up.
It's a great bit where he goes into how he sets up an amp.
Yeah, that was really fascinating. And I absolutely give that a go. In a nutshell, it was where any of the controls are at their most, at their peak in terms of their most effect. Suddenly, you'll use a pot and nothing much happens, and then it starts to really kick in. Yeah. And he seems to set everything by that rule, almost. And it's fascinating. It sounds bizarre. Oh,
but for me, because as we know, I'm not particularly technically minded. My reaction is to try and get more bass because I don't like thin guitar sounds. But as it's the worst thing I can do is just to add loads of bass on. So watching his method was fascinating. Never has his bass past sort of 3 or 4 on an amplifier.
No.
Matt Schofield is a huge Albert Collins fan. You can hear that a lot in his playing. And I was listening to him talk about Albert Collins amp settings, which were on an old Fender amp, the fact that he had the volume on 10, the treble on 10, the mid on 10, the reverb high, and the bass on 0.
Just
everything cranked, but no bass. No bass. So it's fascinating, isn't it, listening to people that ultimately have got more experience.
Yep. Play a lot more.
Yeah.
Have had, absolutely. I think it's a great thing to do. I don't know if you want to go on to the moment, but also, he turned me on to that Mad Professor pedal, the delay. Yeah. Because for years, I've had a Strymon timeline. Right. And to be honest, I just never get the time to play with it.
It's complicated.
I also find, it can be. You can just use the basics, but what's the point in having it then? Yeah. And I just love the tonality of it as well. It didn't interfere with the guitar. It just added, and he just uses basically one repeat to thicken it, didn't he? That was brilliant. So again, that's in the same episode. Have a look at that, because that's kind of eye-opening.
And he kind of says he has it on all the time as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he shows you. There's quite a lot of videos of him doing it. We'll show you with it on and off.
Yeah.
And there is a difference.
There is.
It's very subtle, but
I mean, you never noticed, but because you. But when playing in the band, I would often have a very similar amount of delay on.
Yeah.
Just that, because it just thickens.
Yeah.
In a nice way, so it makes up for that lack of bass as well.
Yeah.
Because it thickens it, but in the mid, it's just reinforcing it.
Without it getting in the way of your
really
bass
good, really good episode.
Yeah. I'm guessing a good delay pedal is going to make a difference there.
The right delay pedal.
The right delay pedal.
Because there's so many different types of delay, whether it's the bucket delay types, the analogs, digitals. You've got so many. It depends what you want out of things. And those deep blue delays, they don't have massively long delays.
No.
I think it's like 450 milliseconds, which isn't enough for most things, unless you're into that whole ambient thing. Okay. But just go and have a look at that episode. It was a good episode.
Yeah,
long episode.
It is long, but it's brilliant. It's very. It was.
And what a nice guy.
Yeah, he comes across as being very
down to earth.
Down to earth. Obviously, a phenomenal guitar player, but actually spent quite a bit of time talking about what he saw as his deficiencies, but he's happy with it. I don't think they're. He doesn't seem as if he's struggling with his playing, but he says he's very good at one thing, which is the blues. And
the better you get, we were chatting about this, the better you get, the more you know you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think, usually that ends up with humility.
Yeah.
And it came across with him. Yeah. Really did. A really enjoyable episode.
Yeah, and if you get a chance to see him live, there's a lot of live videos. He's very funky, a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
He does an amazing cover of Albert Collins' Black Cat Bone, which you just have to watch. It's just unbelievable.
Black Cat Bone.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a great song anyway, because Albert Collins was super funky, but Matt Schofield's version is just wow.
Again, if I can remember to do it.
Yeah, I'll try to remind you.
In the description. I'm trying to do that.
I guess just a little bit, we talked about his pedals a little bit on gear, because you can look at something, he's got extremely expensive gear.
Yeah, was it two rock
amp?
Yeah, two rock amp.
Is
big money.
A lot of money, an SVL version of a Strat, I guess, which is also a lot of money. But his approach to setting up his amp can actually make you think, oh, okay, as long as I've got a decent Strat style guitar and a decent amp, I can get somewhere near it.
You can get close.
Yeah.
His pedal board was very simple.
It was, yeah,
I
like that. That's mine. It's got more space than pedals on it.
We'll get you there, Steve. We'll overcomplicate it and then come back again.
My brain doesn't work like that. I already think that's too many.
Brilliant.
No, it's great. Definitely worth the knowledge that you get from listening to people
Someone
like that. It's priceless, to be honest with you. So check out Matt Schofield if you're not familiar with his playing. If you're a big blues fan, you probably are. Hopefully there's some new blues fans watching this show, and you'll be put onto one of the best on the planet.
Pleased you introduced me to him. So anything else we've forgotten, or are you?
No. We could go on for ages about. He says.
You're a big fan.
Well, I am, but there's a lot about his playing that you can learn from. So maybe we'll cover some of his licks and things more in the future.
What are we going to finish on then?
We're going to finish with our attempt at a piece of his called Anything But Time, which is again chords you'll be familiar with, but not in a standard 12-bar form. Yeah. So
you've been practicing, Steve?
Yes, to do Matt Schofield very much.
Yeah, brilliant. So, thank you for joining us again at the Blues Box. As I said, we'll play out with our Matt Schofield. Look him up. I'll try and remember those links. Please subscribe. Please like. Please give us a comment. Please get involved. We'd really appreciate it and help the channel just grow slowly. And do a bit more of this kind of stuff, and maybe get a bit more in depth as well if we can.
We're
make more of the channel. Really,
hoping to add backing tracks for things like the pieces that we cover and things. Don't we?
But this is a part-time fun endeavour. Yeah, this is not our
very early
job.
Days. No.
I have to actually earn a living.
Oh shit! I'm not going there.
Yeah, you just live off your wife's income. I know what you do. I know what you're like. Yeah, poor girl. Brilliant. Thanks for joining us again. Take care.